Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and today I'm joined with Tyler Moss. I'm going to let him speak in a couple of seconds, but in today's video, we are doing our top 12 kicker rankings for fantasy football in 2020. Now, I know what you might be thinking, Nick. Why would I even want to care about my kicker? And the kicker is actually very important in fantasy football. While in the mock draft, I could not give a rat's ass who I pick in a mock draft at the kicker position, but in your real draft, you're going to want to make sure you secure one of those guys that is going to be good for your draft or for your team. So you can obviously stream the position as well, and that is something that you could do. But for this video, we are going to be talking about both of our top 12 rankings. There are some differences in our rankings, but they are pretty similar, but we are going to be breaking these down in just a couple of seconds. So Tyler, do you have anything to say before we get into the video?
Absolutely. Hello. Hi, I'm back. It's been a little bit, but yes, I am back. I didn't die. Don't assume things like that. I've got a few things cooking on my end, as you can see. Fancy S logo in the background. Not a sponsor, maybe a sponsor, who knows. My site, thesporter.site. Please check it out. That would mean a lot to me. And you know what else would mean a lot to me? Talking about kickers and you actually not getting bored. So that's my goal. Keep you entertained. Very nice.
All right, so we are going to get into it here. So my rankings are obviously on the left side of the screen, should be underneath me, and Tyler is on the right side, should be underneath Tyler. So my first kicker that we are going to be talking about here, or we'll start with Tyler's rankings actually, since Tyler is the real kicker expert here. Harrison Butker is his number one guy. Harrison Butker ranks number 2 in my rankings. So what do you like about Harrison Butker, and why do you got him ranked as the number 1 kicker?
Yeah, so Buddy's electric. I mean, he came in last year and with a very high octane offense and was the kicker 1 last year. And I'm not someone who likes change. I'm going to keep him cooking there. Year before, he was kicker 3. There's a lot of consistencies with Harrison Butker. He's going to get the job done. He's going to get field goal opportunities. He's going to get extra point opportunities. We definitely know that. The offense is always humming, so keep him at the top of your boards. I think easy top 3. I don't really think there's much discrepancy there. But yeah, I find him at my 1, kind of keeping on the trend of last year, which is where he finished.
All right, so at number 2, Tyler has Mr. Kyami Fairbairn of the Houston Texans. I have him ranked at number 5. So why do you got him obviously ranked much higher than what I would say the consensus is on him? Since the consensus, he was all the way down there at like 10, and we both have him up far higher than that. So what do you think about Mr. Fairbairn?
Yeah, so when I look at him, the entire reason he's up so high is what did we see be so effective with kickers like Zane Gonzalez last year? He was so effective because the team just couldn't convert in the red zone. And I think the biggest thing, and I've talked about it in a few videos with you, Nick, in the past, but maybe you haven't gotten that deep in. You start seeing us draft kickers, you're like, I'm out. But let me tell you, this is a guy who's going to get a lot of opportunity this year. Listen, Deshaun Watson is good enough to drag offenses deep, at least into the red zone area. Fairbairn has a lot of deep range. He can take care of kicks around the 50-yard mark. He is very, very good at kicking and for accuracy, for field goals. And listen, DeAndre Hopkins is gone. That's your biggest red zone target. And sure, there was a lot of tight end targets as well. But DeAndre Hopkins provides such an effect in the red zone that they will not have. And I'm looking at who's going to be the Arizona of this year, where there's just going to be so many field goal opportunities. And I think Houston's good enough to still get extra points for Fairbairn, but there's going to be a lot of field goals for him and a lot of converting, and that means a lot of fantasy points, which is why I find him at my number 2 spot.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, you have my number 1 kicker, Justin Tucker, the fucker of the Baltimore Ravens, at number 3. He is my number 1 guy. The reason why I like Justin Tucker personally is just I feel that he is just super safe, just like with Harrison Butker, like we talked about earlier. On a week-in, week-out basis, the guy's super safe. He's on another high-octane offense. Obviously, just like Kansas City, Baltimore is one of those teams. So what do you got on Justin Tucker at number 3 here?
Yeah, so Justin Tucker, he's never finished a season as the kicker 1. I'm kind of just going with Vegas odds and just saying, you know what, he's going to keep on that trend. He's always been a top 5 kicker. He's been a top 5 kicker for the past 4 years. I see he's always been a top 10 his entire career. So you know he's going to get the production for you, which may, make you want to take him over maybe some of the other guys like Fairbairn or Butker, just for that consistency metric. But like, he's never finished as the kicker 1, and I know Baltimore's offense is really good, but they're very, very good at converting touchdowns. And this is not really a team that I want to see a kicker kind of in, even though Tucker does a fantastic job. The team was number 1 in red zone percentage last year in efficiencies, and I just don't want that. You do. Okay, when you're taking a top 5 kicker, you want a guy that's going to get a lot of opportunity. But I'm looking more in the field goal range, and that's why Justin Tucker always sits around the 3-4 instead of the 1-2. Which is why I have him as my kicker 3.
All right, so at number 4, this is where we see a big discrepancy in our rankings. I have Zane Gonzalez as kicker 12. You had him have him at number 4. Now I know obviously why. Last year the Arizona Cardinals literally would be like an inch off the end zone, and the motherfucker Cliff Kingsbury would just kick a field goal because he just didn't want to lose his job or something. But I don't see that happening all that much this year personally under the second year of Kyler Murray. So why do you got Gonzalez here at 4?
Yeah, so I got him here at 4. Last year he finished as kicker 5, and again we talked about the opportunity in the mass amount of field goals he attempted. He attempted 35 field goals. He made 34, which was very efficient. I see that as the number that can stay. I think he's a very accurate kicker. We've seen that. He's young, so in his 3 years of experience, I mean, we saw last year was really his first year of actually providing value. He came in at a few roles a couple of years ago in his sophomore season and didn't really do very much. Again, Arizona was so miserable last year in scoring. So his first year of actually getting semi-productive offense kind of leading him. And yes, there was a lot of field goal opportunities, and that was what we saw. Again, 35 attempts is absolutely ridiculous. But the reason I say, what, he can take that 5 spot and even jump a little higher. Yes, his field goals may go down. I think the accuracy will still stay there, so his points will still stay consistent, at least per attempt. And I think he's going to get a lot of more extra point opportunities. And the offense finally will be able to kick into the Cliff Kingsbury air raid style offense, which will boost more opportunity and score a lot more touchdowns. And I think that's going to raise Zane Gonzalez up this year. And I think he's a very, very good kicker. And we could see him sneak into the top 5, even though, he was 5 last year. I really see him sitting and solidifying himself into the top 5 as a kicker.
All right, that definitely makes a lot of sense.
Facts.
So now my top 3 kicker, my number 3 kicker, Will Lutz is your number 5 player, obviously a New Orleans Saint. Now, obviously Will Lutz has been one of those guys for the last couple of years in my recent memory, I think, of being a ultra consistent kicker, a guy that if Drew Brees is not able to find the end zone, this guy is pretty much automatic, just like with Bucker and just like with Tucker. So what do you think about Mr. Will Lutz here, your number 5 kicker?
Yeah, so Buddy's fantastic. He's not really going to provide too many opportunities on the long range. 50 plus is what I'm kind of looking at when I'm touching on that. It's just because this offense is so efficient, and we know with 50 plus, most leagues kind of have it as either a 4 or some have it as a 5-point score. So Will Lutz sits as the kicker 2 last year, which is very efficient. He's always going to be top 5 in my eyes. He just kind of sits at this 5 spot, not because I don't really believe in him, but more or less just I kind of think the offenses above him are going to be more fruitful. But Will Lutz has been very consistent in his couple of years in the NFL. He's always finished top 10 in his 4 years, and now going into his 5th year. Last year was his highest rank at 2. I just kind of see him being a guy who's just always going to be top 5, really, for a long time. He's 26. He'll be in the league, and hopefully if he stays with the Saints, there's going to be a lot of consistency and a lot of opportunities. So, yeah, he's definitely 5. Could I see him sneak as high as 3? Could I see him go even higher than that? Again, he finished 2 last year. I mean, this guy could be the kicker 1, and I genuinely believe that. So you having him at 3 is perfect. I mean, I have him at 5, which really, again, it's just who falls ahead of him. I just have a little bit more confidence in, but Will Lutz, fantastic kicker.
All right, so at Tyler's number 6, we have made it halfway through the video at 6 out of 12. It's halfway, quick math. So if you guys have enjoyed the video thus far, please make sure to click that subscribe button, as well as check Tyler's Twitter out, as well as the sporter.site. Check that out as well. So now it's time to get into Tyler's number 6 guy, bald man Robbie Gould. I also have him at number 6. We have that connection right there. So why do you like Mr. Robbie Gould of the San Francisco 49ers?
Yeah, so this, for any people who are like kicker aficionados will say, kind of surprised because Robbie Gould kind of had a fall off last year in his attempted 42 extra points, made 41. It's fantastic numbers. But it's what really fell off was the field goals. There wasn't as many attempts as maybe you'd have expected. The offense actually was a little bit better than people thought. 31 field goal attempts last year, but he only made 23, and that's where I'm like, okay, it's rough. He's got to convert a little bit more of those. That's easy. That's got to happen. Robbie Gould, though, if he can start converting more of those field goals, I think the offense is there. Again, when we're seeing what we have as our rankings in these top 12, these are all really efficient offenses that get the job done. And I think this team will continue to provide opportunities for Robbie Gould. You just got to convert more of those field goals. But we've seen it before. He's finished as the kicker 3 before. He's finished as 7, 9, all that. But he's had a really long, illustrious career. Good for him. But I think he can get back into the top 6. Why not? Why not? Send it home for the fans.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, last year we saw him get hurt, and his backup kicker was also pretty productive. So that just shows how good that offense really is at getting points for the kicker position. So now at number 7, you have my main man, third leg, Greg Zuerlein. I have him at number 4. Now a Dallas Cowboy, formerly of the LA Rams, which obviously moves him down in your rankings because he's on the Cowboys. So what do you think about third leg Greg here at number 7?
Listen, I think there's an opportunity where he could go back to that 2017 just gold year. Remember, he was just outblowing all other kickers in points. I think he put up around 200 fantasy points that year. It was ridiculous. But he definitely put up the numbers there to prove that he could be a phenomenal kicker for your lineup. But then the past 2 years kind of fell off, kicker 12 and then kicker 9. Last year, I think this guy gets it done. He gets extra points done. That's never been an issue. Perfect last year. From the extra point line, whatever we call it. I don't know. From the 10, I'm not going to guess here. But the attempts were falling off, right? So he had 32 attempts. Not bad for the Rams last year, only converted 24. So that's the thing. If you get the field goal accuracy down, you're going to score a lot of points, especially in fantasy. You're going to get opportunities to kick field goals. You just got to make them. He always kicks from deep very well, so that's always been a good thing. Whether his percentage is all that great is up in the air, but as far as getting opportunity for it, coaches have no problem sending him out there. I think this is a very efficient offense when you kind of look at it towards Dallas. This team is going to convert a lot of touchdowns. There's not going to be as many field goal opportunities. Do I see him sitting around that 33 kind of range? I don't know. I feel it's more in the 28, 29. And when your attempts drop just even in the slightest and you're missing a few too, it's going to hurt you and you're going to tumble down. But 7 is not a bad spot for Greg Zuerlein. That raises his place last year where he finished 9. And we may see a return of that 2017 season with the Rams. But again, you also have to count on, is the team as effective on offense in getting into the red zone but not converting? That's something we got to look at with kickers, and that's something you look at with Zuerlein.
Yeah, and speaking of teams that may not be able to end up scoring, number 8, Matt Prater of the Detroit Lions. Now, obviously, last year when Matt Stafford was playing, Matt Prater was still doing good, but they were obviously scoring a lot more. So does that worry you that Stafford is going to be putting up so many points that maybe Prater won't be able to kick the field goals from deep, or do you not really worry too much about that?
I don't worry about it too much. 7, 9, 11, and 7 this past 4 years, the guy's always going to kind of sit in this mid-range area. I think 8's a really good spot for him to kind of land here. The offense is very efficient. The defense isn't. I think there's going to be a lot of shootouts for Detroit, which means a lot of points for Matt Prater. Now, I think there's a lot of really good targets. I think Hawkinson going into his second year isn't really going to help in the red zone is what I'm talking about. Red zone's very important for kickers. Keep that in mind. Because if you have kickers, you're going to want them to kick field goals. You want that. It's just a little bit more points, a bigger boost. You'll take the touchdown, you take the extra point, the 1 point, that's fine, but you want the field goals. And guys like Hawkinson going into his second year, Kenny Golladay has reestablished, but has officially established himself as a clear wide receiver 1 in the league. And I think one more year with him and Stafford is not really all that great for Matt Prater. But what I will say is I think Stafford does not hurt Prater. I think when you have an inefficient offense and they're not getting you kicking opportunities, I'd much rather take an extra point than a team that can't get past the 3-down set and is punting it on 4th. So I'll take Stafford in an efficient offense and just hope that Matt Prater gets the job done like he has in his past. Again, always been a consistent between the 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 range. So I'll take that from Matt Prater. I see him finishing 8 here. So do you. So big brain on your head.
Very nice. All right. So at number 9, we have Mr. Matt Gay of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, this is kind of a new face inside of the top 10 of the rankings. Matt Gay, probably not someone most people are familiar with, but has been the Tampa Bay Buccaneers kicker, at least for last year. So what do you think about Matt Gay? Why do you got him here at 9? I have him at number 7.
Yeah, so this is his second year going into the league. He had actually a really fantastic year last year where he finished as the kicker 4. Reading off his stat lines, Buddy went 43 for 48 on extra points, which, again, rookie kicker, they'll start to clean up. As far as field goals made, it's rough, but 27 for 35, so we had a lot of attempts. I don't see this kind of dropping off. I see it dropping off a mild bit because I think the offense will be a little bit more efficient. I think 36 field goal attempts is a little much for a Tom Brady kind of offense. I think we're going to see A lot more extra point opportunities, though. Well, probably sit around the same because, again, the offense was really efficient. I think we kind of lose sight of this as Jameis Winston, in how rough he was. There was a lot of kicker opportunities for him. Matt Gay, can I see him reaching kicker 4? I think I can, but the offense would have to show up very quickly, and Tom Brady learning the system apparently has been rough on him, which you'd assume because he wouldn't have to learn a new system in 17 years. Ridiculous. So Matt Gay, I can't see him getting back to 4, at least not yet. I got to see it kind of play out, right? So 9, I think, is a very reasonable spot for him. I think you're just going to see more extra point attempts than the 36 field goal attempts he saw last year. That's really what it chalks up to. I think the other guys above him are just a little bit more safer plays. But Matt Gay has the potential to go back into the top 5 if the Tom Brady offense really kicks off. I think the offense is really good. Again, just feel there's going to be more extra points than field goals.
Yeah, definitely. I like Matt Gay this season. So at number 10, you have Mr. Young Ho Koo. I got Mr. My Old Bitch Lame, but my Young Ho Koo at number 11. So very close. Obviously, Young Ho Koo coming into the league was literally a garbage can on the Chargers. This guy choked a game against the Dolphins. My freshman year of college, I watched it. It was so funny. He missed like an easy one, and he was god awful. And then last season on Atlanta, this guy's making onside kick plays, looking like Pat McAfee out there. So Young Ho Koo obviously now looking pretty good. Looked very solid down the stretch of last season. So is that why you got him ranked here at 10 based upon his performance deep into last year?
Yeah, absolutely. So he played 8 games last year. Fantastic, though. He was 20. Sorry. Okay. Finished as the kicker 27 in only 8 games. So that's not bad. He was 15 for 16 on extra points. So he was converting those at a pretty good rate. And he was 23 for 26 on field goals. So, yes, it was the field goal percentage. And I'm like, okay, this is really good. And the reason he's up this high is because that Atlanta offense is always going to be churning. It's like Detroit. It's like, yeah, the defense is horrible. The offense is scoring points. So you got to trust in the kicker. So kind of why Matt Prater's so high is kind of why I have Young Ho Koo so high. Yeah, go ahead, make your joke. I'm sorry.
My old bitch
I said
lame.
His name normal.
My old bitch lame, but my Young Ho Koo. That's the joke.
Absolutely. Yeah, so this is why I have him so high. Again, there's a good chance, and this is not a guy I'm looking to draft. I will go ahead and tell you guys this. I'm doing this strictly off of if he plays 16 games, I think this is where he'll find himself. But there's a really good chance he bombs it. Listen, he played 4 games for the Chargers back in, 2017?
2018.
Yeah, sure, whatever. He had a gap year where he didn't even play because he was in the XFL. So it was like, this guy really isn't – he's so hit and miss, and I want him to play 16 games at the pace he did last year because if he did, he probably would have been top 5 because he was fantastic. But I need to see that, and I struggle to see if it will happen. However, if he does play 16, this is kind of my projected, but please don't go for him. Go for someone in the top 10 or someone risky down below. Who cares?
All right, so at number 11, Tyler has Mr. Jake Elliott of the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I don't even have him ranked, and I do have a actual vendetta against him. Real quick story here to put in here. So, obviously, if anyone plays Super Bowl pools, I assume most people do. It's those fucking boxes, and you got to get the numbers correctly on both sides so they match up and have a very nice time. And you know what happens? Jake Elliott misses an extra point in the Super Bowl. Obviously, Big Dick Nick goes out there, wins them the Super Bowl, but I don't give a damn. I don't like the Patriots. I don't like the Eagles. I really don't care. I want my money, and Jake Elliott fucked me over. So, shout out to Jake Elliott at number 11. So what do you think about Mr. Jake Elliott? Why you got him ranked at number 11?
Yeah, so this is bold. So we look back at 2017, where he finishes the kicker 13 in only 15 games, which was a fantastic season for him. Especially kickers, very important. They play all 16. The next season, he played 16 games, 15. And then last year was a really big fall off. And he did play all 16 games last year, finished as the kicker 21, which is rough. So me wanting to believe in him is kind of iffy. I'm believing in him earlier on in his career when he was putting up really high-end production because the offense was churning. Now, listen, I think the running back situation has figured itself out. Stop with the Miles Sanders. He's going to be back. Chill. All the haters, go home. I don't need it. They got Jalen Reagor. And this is something that needs to be highlighted. If you kind of look at the top end of my list, there's a lot of teams there. You see Kansas City, they got Tyreek Hill. You see Houston, and I hate that I'm doing this, but Will Fuller and Keke Coutee. These guys are burners. You see Baltimore, you got Marquise Goodwin, you got Lamar, so that kind of throws that away. But Arizona, high-octane offense, but it's passing, and there's deep targets. So when you have a guy who can go and make deep plays, it puts your team in such a really good situation because these are third down types of plays where if you're sitting 3rd and 10, you're shooting it big. just for the opportunity so you don't have to punt, Jalen Reagor and Deshaun Jackson on the same team will provide some downfield opportunities that I would like to see get them into the red zone. Jake Elliott can convert it when he's there. That's what I'm kind of looking for from him, right? So he was pretty efficient, 22 for 26 in his field goal attempts. It's not that many, though. When we're kind of reading off some of these other guys' field goal attempts, there's so much more attempts. And I think that's just a highlight on Philadelphia, and they're really kind of inefficient offense, but when they were efficient, they were getting touchdowns. I think more opportunity leads to more field goals. So that's what I'm looking for Jake Elliott here. And I'm really sorry you have that vendetta against him because you could have won big bucks.
Exactly. Now at number 12, our final kicker to talk about here, even though we're going to talk about the two guys on my rankings that are not on Tyler's rankings, is brought to you by Manscaped. So if you guys would like to have the nicest looking downstairs, make sure to use Manscaped code Notorious at checkout. Gives you 20% off as well as free shipping. Make sure you guys get that. There's this nice bundle. It gives you all types of things and it's going to make your downstairs look beautiful, look A1, like drafting Harrison Butker as your kicker. So thank you guys all. Check that out, please. And now we're going to go to number 12, Dan Bailey. Now, real quick before Tyler goes in on Dan Bailey. Dan Bailey is a household kicker name, in my opinion, due to how good he was a couple of years ago, but I feel like he has kind of fallen off. So what is your thoughts on Dan Bailey, and why do you have him at number 12?
Yeah, so he was surprisingly – we'll start with 2018, so his first year with Minnesota. He had kind of a rough year. He finished kicker 23. He was fairly good on extra points, but he was kind of rough when it came to field goals. He was 21 for 28, which is not great. I want to see that percentage a little bit better. But last year, he really did surprise some people with an offense that people were kind of like, okay, how good were they? Dan Bailey was getting a lot of opportunity. He finished as the kicker 6. The extra points kind of were shaky. 44 attempts, he had 40 makes. But the field goals, 27 for 29. That's where I want to see Dan Bailey. That's where Dan Bailey's always been really good. He's always been really accurate with his kicks, especially in the field goal marks. So that was very, very efficient for him. And finishing as the kicker 6 gives him a lot of promise. I don't know how I want to see this offense fare. I think Stephon Diggs leaving hurts. I think Dalvin Cook injury. If I can see Dalvin Cook play 14 games, that'll provide a lot of opportunity for Dan Bailey, which may surprise people as a running back, providing opportunity. But Dalvin Cook churns and he gets yards. But Dan Bailey is the kicker 12. I think it's honestly underrating him. I think he could be a little bit higher. I could see him over Elliott and Young Hope. But as far as where I'm sitting here with these rankings, I think I got to go with Bailey here at 12. But that's no downplaying to what his abilities are. I think he can always finish top 5. He was doing it in Dallas for such a long time. This is going into his 10th year. Kicker 12. It doesn't hurt. You're definitely top 12. Definitely a kicker 1 in my mind. That's what I say.
All right, so now we're going to talk about my final two kickers that are not on Tyler's rankings. This is my kicker 9 and 10. Mason Crosby of the Green Bay Packers. First, we're going to talk about here. Mason Crosby, also a household name, hasn't been super efficient the last couple of years, but I just think the fact is that if they're not able to punch it in, since Rodgers doesn't have any other weapons besides Devontae Adams in the pass-catching game, I just feel like they might be kicking a lot of field goals this season, maybe more than normal, because of the fact that they're going to really rely on the running game. And if that doesn't work out in situations, I think Crosby has been very good in the past. That's why I got him at number 9. What do you think about Crosby? Obviously, he's not in your top 12.
Yeah, I would see him kind of hovering around the 15 range. I can pull up my rankings, but these are just my top 12. He was pretty borderline down the middle kind of guy. I think the offense really didn't get better to see him go over where he placed last year at 16. Finished 7th the year before, so he can do it. He's finished 5th, and he's even finished 1st his 2nd year in the league. So we've seen that he can do it, and I don't really think it's on him. I think it's more or less just the opportunity he's going to have. Again, very efficient last year. He was 40 for 41 at extra points, and what I like to see is when your field goals are right there neck and neck, 22 for 24. So that's very, very good numbers, very efficient. The problem is 24 field goals is not going to cut it to get you into the top 12 for me. And I don't know if I could see more than that. I think they kind of aimed at kind of just being a ground and pound team. It can kind of show what Minnesota had last year, where Dan Bailey finishes the 6th that we just got finished talking through, because the offense was just run. But Packers were so up and down last year that it's kind of rough. It was kind of a rough place for him. So I have to kind of see him prove it again. And I got to see where this offense is, because I think it's a very interesting offense to just watch. It's not one that I'm like loving in fantasy because I just don't know where it's going to go. So I can't really see Crosby at 9. But you know what? I'm not going to argue with you. You're a legend. You got the Manscaped trimmed. I'm not even going to question your thoughts.
All right. Thank you very much. So at number 10, I have Michael Badgley of the LA, not the Clippers, the Chargers. I almost said the Clippers because we're in basketball mode here in August. But to me, Michael Badgley, I think, will be good strictly because I don't believe in Tyrod. And I think that Austin Eckler will be able to march them up the field until like the 40. And then maybe they just stop him in a bunch of situations. And if Badgley is as good as I believe he is, he will be able to hit those kicks. I don't think this offense is going to be very effective in the red zone, obviously, unless they're dumping the ball off to Austin Eckler and he just makes the guys look silly of how much I think Austin Eckler is good. So what do you think about Michael Badgley? Obviously not inside your top 12 again.
Yeah, he hasn't finished the whole season yet, and sure, he's going into his third one. Groin injury last year, those are a pain, and for kickers, it's like good night. You get an injury like that's going to throw you off, probably because he wasn't using Manscaped. That's another plug.
Exactly.
You got to get those groin looking nice and tight. But yeah, no, he hasn't finished the whole season, and that's why he's not in my top 12. I think he's a good kicker, and I think the opportunity will be there. I think this is because the quarterback really makes it for me in getting into the red zone, why I have Fairbairn so high. But it's sort of similar to that situation where the offense is just good enough to continually get you there, but not really get you there. You know what I mean? Get into the red zone. But I've got to see Badgley complete a full season. And if I can see that, yeah, I could definitely see him be a top 12 kicker. Because, again, I think the opportunity is there, but finish the whole season without hurting your groin there, kiddo.
All right, that makes a lot of sense. So shout out to Michael Badgley and his groin. Make sure to use code Notorious on Manscaped. So Tyler, do you have any closing remarks before we get out of here?
Yeah, guys, the kicker position is important. I think people are phasing it out of their leagues right now. It's become the new thing. Superflex, I think, was last year. There's always a new thing. And now it's zero kicker all the time. And you know what? That hurts. Because I think the kicker position has always been a staple here in fantasy. And the fact that we're chasing it away, it hurts me. It hurts me deep down inside. Kickers are important, guys. They're fantastic. They're staples of lineups. They're wild cards. You want to play with kickers. If you can't play with kicker and you're not a man that says, you know what, we can't do kickers in my league, you're not a man. You're not respecting the truth, the realness of fantasy sports. You're throwing away tradition. You're like, no, I'm going to have 40 copies of Christian McCaffrey in my league. That's so dumb. You are disgracing fantasy sports by kicking kickers out of your league. That's disgusting, and Tyler won't have it, period.
Hashtag kickers are people too. So thank you guys all for watching. Obviously, make sure to check out Manscaped. Code Notorious at checkout, 20% off, like I said, as well as free shipping. Make sure you check out everything about Tyler all down below in the description. Please. And if you guys ended up making it all the way to the end of this video, leave a hashtag kickers are people too in the comments. I'd actually be shocked considering of how long we talked about these kickers because of how important they are. It is a nice breakdown to get here. So I hope you guys gained some big knowledge today. And I hope that you guys all have a great rest of your guys' day. And I'll see you guys later with yet another video coming to your head top. I love you all. Tyler loves you all. I love Tyler. Have a great rest of your guys' day.